How's it going? Welcome back. Today I have a little bit of a, it's like kind of off meta. There's certain parts of it that are like meta-ish. Just not necessarily for this faction. But it's a little interesting. It's a little off meta, a little not in some ways. It was Orbital Napalm, AMR, Dog Breath Guard Dog, and the HMG Emplacement. I took Light Gun and Experimental Infusion, and I took the Torture, the Ultimatum, and gas grenades. Now, without getting too much into the like kind of weeds of what's meta and what's not, I obviously know that gas grenades, Ultimatum are both very, very good on the bug front. The Torture to an extent as well. However, I think it's a lot less prevalent on the Automaton front because a lot of people have been opting to use like the Senator or the Bolt Pistol against new Crushers. Oh, and this, by the way, is against the Vote Snatchers. Just the Vote Snatchers. None of the other factions are in here. But the AMR is one of the more meta things for this. However, if you see my videos in the past or whatever, you would know that my definition of what makes something meta or meta build a lot of times, if you're really trying to win, is you kind of just like stack mobility a lot of the times. Like having a car would obviously make this way, way, way easier. Having a warp pack, I mean, same thing. It's just they're both really, really good. So this is a much different loadout because it has kind of a distinct lack of mobility. It has more of an emphasis on fighting and just putting out damage and dealing with crowds, etc., and other ways to kind of make space with the dog breath. And you'll see, I do try not to abuse the Gator too much. I did end up doing the LiDAR because it was on my way to the first objective, but I understand that it is a little cheesy to sit in the Gator the entire mission. I've already made a video about that, so I do decide to kind of park it to the side, and we'll get started on that LiDAR in a second. Now, the HMG Emplacement is probably one of the least meta parts of this build. I actually think this would work really, really well in squads because you don't have to worry as much about getting flanked if you have like a team that you can at least somewhat trust to watch your back, and you'll be able to get a lot more use out of the HMG Emplacement than I did. I did try and use it, but it is kind of hard because the constant nature of the patrol spawning makes it kind of unpredictable as to where the where they might be coming from. Now, I did not do a warm-up game, so there's some points in this game where my aim was a little rough. I'm just gonna say that straight up. But the AMR is one of the, I think, most recommended weapons I've seen against the Crushers. It's just really solid. It's 2 shots to remove their hat and then another shot to kill. Or it's a full mag if you miss every shot. But that's just how it is. Anyways, so the main like strengths of the loadout is one, you have the Torture. It's really solid. A lot of people, I've seen a prevalence of bringing like the Cremator. The Torture is kind of a budget version. Obviously, you lose a lot of the range and you use a little bit of damage, but you don't actually really care about that damage because you don't actually care about dealing direct fire damage to them. The damage that enemies take from being set on fire by the Torture or the Cremator is the same, like burn tick damage at the end. So you actually just want to like make sure everyone is getting tapped with a little bit of fire, and then once they're hit with fire, you are kind of assuming that they are going to die because of it. Orbital Napalm, it is kind of a reset button. It's really good on the bugs, a lot less so here. It's not, I mean, it's still good. It's just that the way that these enemies spawn in doesn't kind of lend them to the same amount of devastation that the Orbital Napalm provides against the bugs. Because on here, the Orbital Napalm, you see I'm not getting like a 100 kill streak because you can't just drop it on a bug breach where all of the enemies are spawning. because they are like spawning in constantly from patrols with no breaches, no like reinforcements called from watchers. A lot of the times, the enemies can end up coming from even further away, or they'll end up having to walk through the napalm after the fact. It's just not as good as it could be. This was a great place to call down the HMG emplacement, because we know that our back is like mostly covered. This is what you want to look for when you're calling down the HMG emplacement. Unfortunately, it did break, I think, because of the gas, or that like little bit of ground fire that was there. I'm not actually sure. I do try and use it a couple times as I try and push different objectives. It's very hard because this game is so like kind of driven by like your ability to push in and take an objective rather than your ability to defend something. And even then, a lot of the times, you just have better options than the HMG emplacement. But I do think this would go way harder in a in like a full squad, because you have people who you can kind of trust to like at least do a little bit of covering fire for you. Now I actually have no clue where that ground fire came from. That was very unfortunate, but it is what it is. If you go prone in ground fire, it will not extinguish you, which is what happened there, if you were wondering. But now that we're done with lighter, we can go straight back into the gator and just get it moving. We have no stratagems up to call anything in. I do think I decided to take a couple of shots with this. Now, if you were doing like a gator main objective, I think that this might be a lot better. But for the most part, in solos, choosing between driving or killing enemies, a lot of times you just want to choose driving. However, I did go out of my way to demonstrate that this does work and is honestly pretty solid. Like, I was able to reduce the majority of the crowd that was coming towards me and kill pretty much all the big guys that were on their way towards me, which is solid. It will greatly extend the life of the gator if you need. Anyways, we do want to prioritize getting this done. I do think I destroy a couple of the warp ships that are nearby, just because if I'm already in the gator, why not? I also decided to destroy the Tesla towers, just because we might be passing through that area later, and it's just a lot more convenient to destroy them now rather than on foot. I did try and look for a mission without a gator. Unfortunately, this was the only one that was really available, and I didn't really want to search too hard for one, because I didn't really want to have to do this objective at all. I wanted to do the other one that's the upload escape pod data, but it is what it is. Anyways, back to the build. Torture. It's honestly great with dealing with the wretches. It kind of, if they die to fire damage, they don't do their little like death dance where they lose their head and then swing their limbs about for a while. So it makes it kind of easy to wipe them out with little regard to that. It doesn't have any kind of stagger, but a lot of the times the wretches can't really be staggered out of their leaps anyways, so you're not really losing much. The gas guard dog, I also think you could probably change out, to be honest with you. Like, this loadout was fun, but I do think you could change a lot of the stuff without really missing much. Just because, like, I don't know, nothing felt like particularly amazing. I think gas grenades are pretty solid. I think you could probably replace those with like incendiary grenades if you really wanted to, because a lot of times you're using it as like something to quickly control large groups of wretches, and I think incendiary would almost be better, because a lot of the times I prefer incendiary grenades on illuminate factions, because compared to the gas grenades, the incendiary grenades will actually kill like entire hordes of voteless, which is typically what you're using that gas grenade to try and control. And it's the same deal with wretches. They will survive through a gas grenade, but they won't survive through like an incendiary grenade. So it kind of puts it into this weird area where you almost want to give up the control of the gas grenade, because it's just better to kill them straight up. But then I would be like doubling down on fire because we have torture plus like we'd have torture plus incendiary, and the gas grenade does provide like a little bit of a little bit more help against like crushers and stuff, just like making them a little more confused and a little easier to deal with. The AMR, obviously, I mean that's probably one of the more meta picks for the for this faction specifically. It's just one of probably the most efficient support weapon for killing the crusher heads. 3 shots in a semi-auto rifle is pretty good. The only thing that really comes close is like 2 shots from the railgun or 2 shots from the harpoon gun, or like 1 shot plus some primary ammo. But AMR is solid. The secondary was the Ultimatum. I haven't really used it much yet. We brought it because it is really good at some very specific things. Like if I accidentally let a buildup of crushers happen, the Ultimatum is a great button to kind of reset that a lot, because what you can do is you can either break a lot of their helmets with the Ultimatum and then use the AMR to finish the job and like line up those last easy headshots on them, or you can do vice versa, break a lot of their helmets and then toss an Ultimatum shot in the middle to kill a lot of them off by using the Ultimatum to pop their heads with its AoE damage. Now you probably noticed me doing it throughout the video. You can dodge the wretches pretty effectively by tapping your prone key real quick. I will say it has some drawbacks because it kind of depends on the terrain and on the timing as well. If you are on elevated ground and the wretch is jumping from lower ground, you're pretty much guaranteed to get hit. You can try jumping towards them to avoid it. But for the most part, going prone will get you just low enough profile to avoid it. Diving like that will not. You do not want to dive away from the wretches, because it will just change wherever they were going to hit you into a leg injury the majority of the time, which is not good. Leg injuries almost always guarantee a stim, whereas if you go prone and you get hit in the body or something, take no limb damage, or you just dodge the hit entirely, you can save those stims. And a lot of times you really, really want to be saving stims against this faction, because if you aren't dodging any of the wretches, you end up in this situation where you take a fuck ton of damage. Dude, the wretches, or the crushers are very, very annoying with that like lead up to the swing, because their right arm comes up and it blocks that consecutive headshot. It's happened to me like 3 videos in a row at this point. And I've recorded like I'd recorded a couple other videos, but I ended up deleting the footage just because I thought they weren't as entertaining as they could have been, or they weren't or they're just retreading the same ground. Because if I don't think anyone really wants to see me run the same build over and over again, so I deleted those videos and I figured I was going to show some other stuff. I will probably do, to be honest, I said like that I was going to stop doing Illuminate videos, like 1 or 2 more, then I was going to stop. I have entirely lied. I'm going to probably do a couple more because I want to show off different builds. This is obviously a much more aggressive one than I've previously gone with. It has a much greater emphasis on fighting. I don't think that this is the best build for fighting. So I want to make another video talking about what I think is probably one of, if not the best builds for fighting, because this one's solid. Don't get me wrong. It's just not as good as it could be, you know? We decided to stim through the fire. Now we knew at this point I was going to stim again, because we don't want the wretch, or actually I didn't have to stim again. I don't know why I didn't have to stim again. I thought it would send me back on fire, but oh well. Now we call this down and we immediately call our HMG Emplacement. Unfortunately, terrain did not really allow me to call this somewhere that I could have it with my back against a wall. Or maybe I could have called it a little bit over and it would have been fine. But we want to get as much usefulness out of it as we can. We throw down like a gas grenade to kind of delay the enemies from getting to our position and allow us to get a lot of use out of it. It's really, really good for the ability to pop the crusher heads and kill them incredibly quickly. The HMG Emplacement is incredibly solid against this faction. It's just it's very hard to get it into a position where it can actually work for you. A lot easier with the team because you can kind of put it in the middle of the team and then take care of an entire direction while they just keep patrols off you. However, in solo, a lot harder to do. I'm trying my best here, but a lot of the times I get kind of screwed over. And you can see when there's a buildup of crushers, I do turn to start using the Ultimatum. I think it's the first one I fired this entire mission. It gives you a lot of space. Stopping for the terminal here was a little wild. It's because that gas grenade is providing me that space. If you were running incendiaries, they would be more lethal in terms of wretches. However, they would not be able to provide you that space right there. That was a little fuck up. But yeah, honestly, the build's not terrible. I think I could have refined it a lot more, but I ended up calling this the final iteration of the build just because I didn't really want to spend too much more time playing around with this because I don't think that this is the most efficient possible like fighting build. I will eventually make a like fighting build guide or whatever, or not guide, a video about a fighting build. And it's probably, actually, I'm not going to say what it'll be yet. You'll have to watch the next video probably. But I have an idea as to what I think I'm going to put in it. Now, for the wretches, when you might see me dodge a lot of times. Sometimes when I don't see them jumping, they do have that audio cue before they leap, and they do only leap one at a time, which makes it a lot easier to kind of just time a random like hitting prone. Like right there, I should be able to dodge that sooner because I can hear that audio cue and I should know to just hit the ground immediately. But you can see this Torture is incredibly ammo efficient. I have had no issues running out of ammo with it at all. And it is just doing work for me. Entire patrols of wretches very, very easily. My aim, a little rusty, but it is almost getting the job done. Yeah, new faction overall, not bad. I actually think they're probably one of the most balanced release factions pretty much ever. I would have preferred if they were a little harder, personally, or if there was more to them, obviously. But I'm not upset about their addition to the game. I am just like, you know, it's like finishing a good meal. You want more. But yeah, this is a great showcase of the fact that on level ground, just going prone is the easiest way to avoid the wretches by far. We're coming up on half of our mission time left. We've done Gator side mission. We've done one of the seismic probe scans. We've done LiDAR, and we've done a couple outposts on the bottom half of the map. As we move into the top half of the map, we are feeling the time pressure a little bit. This is kind of the side effect of a lack of mobility. You end up spending so much time fighting that like leaving the amount of time you have for objectives can kind of leave you feeling in a rush a little bit. As we arrive here, first thing we do, call the objective, call a resupply, and then we want to set up the HMG emplacement somewhere. This was another one that didn't really feel like there was a great place to do it. You don't want to set it up right on top of the objective because when they call in those patrols or reinforcements, they kind of do it all around. So you really want to be wary about accidentally putting it in the middle. You want to put it like offset. Unfortunately, I ended up calling this right where patrol was coming in. So I ended up like getting myself surrounded literally immediately. I chose the wrong direction. I should have probably thrown it down towards the other side. And the reason for that is because patrols spawn from either the edge of the map, or sorry, the closest edge of the map, or the nearest outpost. Now, we should have known throwing it north was going to be an issue. If I had thrown it south, I probably could have gotten away with it. The thing that was kind of like in my mind as doubt is that I wasn't sure if the enemies that I was running from that I just come from the south had despawned or not. If they had not, then throwing it to the south was just basically throwing it to where I already know enemies are. But it's an unfortunate mistake that hopefully you guys will avoid now that I've told you about how I made the mistake. Now, Steve is always a pain in the ass to do. That was a really, really late prone. I have no clue how that one dodged. I think it was because the terrain's weird and it's like kind of multi-level. But we see that Steve is definitely not getting done with that many enemies on it, so we want to pivot immediately and start heading towards what's it called? Sam site. Now, the Torture has its weaknesses. Obviously, I did a pretty bad job of keeping it lit in the last couple of minutes, but it's because a lot of time I was running around and it was just not at the forefront of my mind. But it can feel a little awkward to, after dodging the wretch leap, to pull it out and be unable to immediately set the wretch on fire. Now, if you don't know, flesh mobs have a higher damage modifier for fire damage. So it is not terrible against them. It's not the absolute greatest, but it's probably the best thing that we have outside the Ultimatum, and it's way more ammo efficient than the Ultimatum. So I do think in like big groups you don't really want to focus on just trying to flame down a single flesh mob. You want to kind of like set them on fire and then change targets and kind of do that repeatedly. There, as you can see, that dive is causing me issues because it forces me to use a stim because it ends up with a leg injury. I was really trying to climb this. It did not let me. It's unfortunate, but I'm really used to playing with mobility backpacks where I would have some way up that. We tank that red shit, it gives us an arm injury, which is much preferable to the leg injury that it normally does, so it was a little bit of a misplay by me, but luckily I didn't get punished for it. We jump into the loving arms of this flesh mob. And we kind of decide that we want to probably pivot away from here. I set the flesh mob on fire. This random bolus comes out of nowhere. And we are trying to pivot back to sea. We throw a resupply. We're kind of hurting on stims a little bit. I throw HMG Emplacement. This was almost a great place to put it with trying to like bottleneck them there. But the problem is I didn't really want to stay and fight exactly where that was. I really wanted to move in towards Seath and start working on this. Now we know that Seath is a very hard objective, and you really want to use whatever trick you can to make it easier. So a lot of times people will juggle shells. Something else that you can do, which I'm pretty sure I do in a second, is there's this wall in the middle. There's like 2 shells that I want to get through there. I just ultimatum that wall because it genuinely saves so much time. When milliseconds matter, that move right there is going to save you full seconds because you don't have to walk around the entire like radius of that wall with the shells. You are able to just grab the shell, pick it up, carry it, and then when you drop it, it will roll towards the sea. So it saves you a lot of time when you are actively getting pressured by enemies. Now, obviously, if you roll up and Seath is literally a ghost town and there's nothing there putting pressure on you, it maybe not be worth it. But in a situation like the one where I was playing in here, it was absolutely worth it to kind of full send, use an ultimatum shot, especially when I know I'm going to resupply, to make that process easier for later. Now, this was the light outpost that we destroyed earlier. And I am kind of going around it because I don't want to accidentally walk into these explosive barrels and die. That would kind of suck. I wasn't sure if the AMR had destruction force. It does not. Unfortunate. I did test it though. Rather test it and look like an idiot than live with not knowing, you know? The fool who asks a question is only a fool on... Wait, hang on. The fool who never asks a question remains a fool for the rest of their life. That's the quote, I think. I'm probably paraphrasing it. I don't remember off the top of my head. But the gist of it is, if you do something stupid to see if it works, then you're smarter knowing whether or not it will work going forward. Whereas if you are worried about looking stupid trying something out, you will live forever never knowing if it worked and forever remain a fool. Now this should have been a great place to do this because we're really close to the edge of the map. Patrols typically can't spawn there. I dropped the HMG emplacement here. Illuminate ships incoming. This was pretty much like, this is almost ideal things, or ideal scenario. But then it starts spawning them like right next to me on both sides, which is a little rough. But the HMG emplacement is putting in work. It wasn't until these guys spawned like fully behind me and then another one on top of me. I really just kept choosing wrong, because if I'd thrown it over here to this open area, it would have worked out a lot better. But we did get a little bit of use out of it. As I said, you would get a lot more in a full team where you have people who can watch your back and just deal with that one patrol that spawns, because you would single-handedly have enough firepower to deal with the entire rest of the drop as long as you have one person watching your back. We drop an ultimatum shot to kind of buy us a little bit more time. I maybe should have just spammed this guy down after that ultimatum shot, because he probably was a little low, and instead I just end up putting like 5 shots into his upper arms. That was a really lucky dive. As I said, diving typically just turns whatever hit they were going to get into a leg injury. Now, this was kind of unfortunate area. We're getting pushed away. We're running quite low on time now, but we're doing our best. I changed gears. I re-tagged the Steve Sam site and start heading there just to see yet another patrol that has spawned directly between me and my objective. This is why you have to have such an aggressive build that's able to deal with this, or a build that is incredibly mobile and able to change gears before the enemy spawns can really catch up. And at this point, I swung very wide, and this was on purpose because I really wanted the stims from this resupply box. Getting hit and taking that leg injury really sucks, because that puts us at a net neutral of stims, because we had 2. We used 1 for stamina, thinking we were going to get 2 more, and then we ended up getting a leg injury, so we go down to 0. Or we had, I don't know. It ended up not being worth it running that way, pretty much. We roll up to Steve. There's already more enemies here. I decided to just throw Orbital Napalm, because despite being not as good as it is against the bugs, it is still good enough as kind of a reset button. Because one of the worst things that can happen is you see this buildup of enemies, and Orbital Napalm a lot of times is able to prevent that. Because you'll see these photos of people playing on difficulty 5 or 7 or whatever, where they are just not really dealing with the buildup of enemies, and so they talk about how hey, this difficulty is harder than 10 because look at the screenshot where all these crushers are on screen. And a lot of the times I find these kind of disingenuous, because they just have a build that is not really dealing with the enemies in any way, shape, or form. And when I say dealing with the enemies, I mean either being so mobile that you can leave the area and despawn them, or being or just having enough firepower to consistently kill a lot of them. So it puts into this weird area where people are well, look at how difficult my games are because of this many enemies. When a lot of the times their game has that many enemies because they are using builds or are playing in such a way that is causing that. If you aren't hypermobile, or if you aren't actively clearing the area constantly, you are going to just end up with a buildup of enemies. And a lot of the times, people end up with a buildup of crushers, because the wretches are very easy to kill en masse. Whereas the crushers aren't. So if you don't have something that's like actively dealing with the crushers, they will build up, and you will have like 10, 12, like upwards of 20 just following you around, which is why I have the AMR to deal with the singular crushers pretty much as I see them. They are a huge priority when I see them because I know how fast they can build up. And then if they do build up, that's why I have the ultimatum. You want to kind of walk around and like get them to bunch up and allow you to get away with like a couple ultimatum shots, killing multiples of them in a very efficient manner. Or, as I said, the Orbital Napalm to kind of clear the playing field, to reset it and bring it back to very few crushers left. Or again, one of the most efficient ways to kill them, the HMG Emplacement. It takes their hats off really, really quickly and just blows their head off, blows their shit smooth off. It's really, really solid. This build is, like, as much as I talk shit about the build and said there's a lot of things that probably could have worked better or I could have done differently, this build is honestly well thought out enough to understand the difficulties that this sub-faction frequently faces. Now, this was a terrible situation. I got a leg injury. I was surrounded by wretches. I figured I was not going to let them have their way with me. Godspeed, Helldiver. He died as he lived, sending ultimatum shots at anything that moved. That joke doesn't really work when I've been playing relatively well and actually haven't been sending ultimatum shots or whatever. But anyways, us dying, funnily enough, is actually another way to reset the area. In solos, when you die and you respawn far away, it will also reset the area because a lot of times you will end up despawning a lot of those enemies. They'll lose aggro. You get a lot of breathing room. Depending on who you talk to, some people can say dying is good when you play solo because it provides you with a lot of breathing room. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people prefer Deathless though because it looks cooler. I also think it looks cooler. So if you ever see me die, the vast majority of the time, it's not really tactical. There's a couple times where I've been like, where I have like thought to myself, it's better to die here. But like you can see, this area that was swarming with enemies moments ago, nothing. We kill everything as quickly as possible because we just have this very last terminal here left. And we really want to get out of this area as fast as possible. The longer we remain here and have to like continue fighting for an objective that should already be done, the worse this is. I throw gas grenade. I set ablaze the crowd a little bit. We really want to just stick this terminal and be done. There's boatless coming in from everywhere. We really don't want to be here anymore because we have 7 minutes left and we still have the entire main objective, or not the entire main objective, but we have the large amount of the main objective left. That was really close. I don't know how I dodged the wretch there. And then we also have an outpost left. Thankfully, we are able to clear just enough of the area to get this done. And then we want to start heading towards that other area. See, that's the issue. I was on the high ground, and when the wretch jumps up, it almost, like, it kind of depends on angle, but it really sucks there because what happens is when you go prone and the wretch is landing on lower ground than you, a lot of times it ends up guaranteeing they hit you in the head, which is really hard to be cognizant of because the more I've been playing against this faction, the more I'm just building the muscle memory of just going prone every single time they jump at me. And so if I'm like a little injured already and I go prone on a hill and I just guarantee them the headshot, that could be almost worse than if I had done nothing at all. So it's kind of an interesting faction. Yeah. Anyways, we start pushing over for this heavy outpost. This is the last heavy outpost we have to do. We have 6 minutes left. We are looking a little dicey on time. Now I knew this was main nuke, but we were kind of so low on other ammo that it didn't really matter. We just needed it dead. Because we know we have like one ultimatum shot, which is our other way to really deal with these warp ships. because we don't, like, the Torture can't break shields. The AMR, I mean, technically it can break shields, but it's not really great to do it. And we were hoping that Siege Artillery would get this one. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I completely forgot that it was a napalm. So this napalm coming down kind of screws us up because now we have to wait for next Siege Artillery, which I'm pretty sure wasn't napalm. I think it was probably explosive. Because we kind of just threw whatever we could in the Siege Artillery because we were aware that it was so hard to get done that we didn't really have the ability to be very choosy. Beggars can't be choosers and all that. But we get that one done. We just have main objective left, and we have a whopping 5 minutes to do it. With a stronger build, I would love my odds here. But this build is not the greatest. It's not the worst. But we figure we'll try it out. We'll see if we can get it done. It would be a little heartbreaking to get all this way and lose here. We call a resupply, and then we want to call HMG Emplacement. And honestly, if you're like me, you're looking at the top of this little cliff and you're thinking, what a fantastic little place to put it. Now the downside here, obviously, is that it's very open, and you might have to turn a lot. That was stupid, but it is what it is. We just called down that resupply, and we're about to be like halfway done with it, purely because I needed stims. That's never the way you want to see things. I was really trying to get this started before we stuck the HMG emplacement, but it's relatively hard. Not having fire resist armor and spreading fire all over your main objective turns out maybe not the smartest idea. However, if I had to do it again, I would do it all the same. Although I was really close to dying here. Yeah. I ran through a lot of stims doing that. Not the greatest methodology. I ran through so many stims actually. I'm getting a little too used to playing with the supply FRV where I basically have unlimited stims in my back pocket at all times. So we're able to get a lot of this done, and then we start running up for our HMG emplacement. Now I wasn't sure if they could get up behind me or not. I was just kind of going off faith that hopefully they can't. Unfortunately, I was right. There is a lot of turning you have to do, but I was kind of sticking with it because we needed something going on for us. And unfortunately, the moment this flesh bomb gets up here, I did kind of bail. I think if I stayed up there, I would just end up dying. A lot of enemies coming in. This is literally textbook what I was talking about with the enemies building up. That guy just went straight into the back rooms. I didn't know there was an opening there. But we call Orbital Napalm right on the objective. This is the classic. This is what you do in pubs when the objective is clear. You just fucking throw Orbital Napalm on the main objective, and then you emote a hug to your teammates so they hopefully forgive you because you just wasted like 30 seconds of their time. But as I said, we're prioritizing the crushers. We know that this is the enemy that's most likely to build up and be a problem, preventing us from getting progress on this. We've already killed like 3 or 4, plus however many the napalm may have dealt with. We see another 3 on the objective. AMR, as I said, one of the very, very good parts of our build for this. We sent an ultimatum shot up for those 2. I think it didn't get either of them. But, as I said, AMR. If I can't get them the dumb way, I'll do it the way that requires aiming. And then we just have a couple voteless left. We have a minute and a half. We are running out of time. We are able to get another resupply down, so we are technically up in terms of ammo economy. That kind of sucked. I probably should have hit prone instead, because I think it would have ragdolled me less, and I would have saved time by staying up there and not having to run all the way back around, while still giving me roughly the same amount of damage resistance. we get that second sample. So we still have the final sample, and then we have to upload all of the sample data at the end. We have 1 minute. Time is not on our side here. We are looking a little dicey. Now, knowing this, I am kind of relying on this resupply and tossing as many gas grenades as I need to simulate having brought the orbital gas mines stratagem, because at this point, I did not mean to have that out. I definitely meant to have the torture out, to be honest with you. But at this point, we are fully on board with doing whatever it takes to win. And if whatever it takes includes gassing the entire area, that is exactly what we plan to do. Unfortunately, I was looking for somewhere I could drop that wouldn't give me a leg injury. It did appear that nowhere was really available. We take the next leg injury. I call HMG Emplacement. This is the last thing I can really call in time. Call Sief Artillery. Drop another gas grenade. I should hit that. I immediately hop on this. The longest turn ever. Try and kill the wretches as fast as we can. Able to break that guy's hat. Yeah, I can't really hold it, unfortunately, just because there's just too many enemies like building up around us. It was kind of a, this one wasn't a very well thought out, I'm going to put this here to ensure my chances of winning. That was a desperation. We got 20 seconds left. We're calling whatever stratagems we have left in the tank. And our shuttle's inbound in a minute and a half. We have not finished this main objective. I do not have the luxury of just leaving. You see I'm changing gears here. I'm trying to kill whatever's already on the objective because I know everything behind me is not necessarily my issue. We send that ultimatum shot back. We're out of stims now. We are pushing as much as we can to get this done. We finally get to it. We send all of that, fully resupply. We have 1 minute left. We are now done with the main objective, and we are ready to get the fuck out of here. I do decide to turn around and kill both crushers behind me, just because we don't want them chasing us all the way. Getting stuck on any kind of rocks or just being able to be one-tapped by an enemy right behind me the entire way to extract sounds like a very stressful experience, and I figured I would save myself from it. 30 seconds, and we are ideally out of here. We're stimming for stamina because we know we have a long run, and we have plenty of stims, honestly. We can drop a gas grenade behind us. It will delay everything. Probably more than enough for us to make it there. But we are calling this one pretty good. The build, it's a little on the weaker side. I think it would fit really, really well in teams, especially if you're playing with players who are struggling to deal with the buildup of crushers. The AMR gives you a great way to deal with it. The HMG emplacement, if your teammates are able to cover you, is one of the absolute best ways to just deal with large amounts of them. Orbital Napalm is that reset button you have when things go horribly wrong. Yeah, it's relatively well-rounded. I do decide to take a couple kills on my way out, especially on these crushers. Really show them who's boss. Make them remember the name, you know. And we are done. Another easy mission in the books. As I said, I'll probably have another video coming out that's probably going to be what I consider one of the best, like, more aggressive builds against the Illuminate. Specifically, like, something that's able to kill a lot of them. This one, honestly, this one was pretty solid. I do think there's better ones out there, but you'll have to stay tuned to see my continuing thoughts on it. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. They do help me out. Hype the video if you're on mobile. Yeah, I mean, check back in with the channel. Hopefully the next couple of days I'll have a video out that is probably what I consider one of the best aggressive builds. And I will, similar with this video, I'll try and not use vehicles just because I think they do make the game a little too easy a lot of times. I might use a mech just because it depends on if I do it on a flag mission or not. But I won't use a supply FRV. I know people are probably getting tired of that. even though it is incredibly good. Anyways, I got 866 kills, 4 deaths, 44 stims used. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.